Okay, we're going to start as always with Colossians 3 and 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. Give me thanks to the Most High and the Father by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. So all that we say and do is going to be in the name of the Lord and Savior. We give all praise and glory to His holy name by Hashem Mashiach Yahushai. So, like I said, it's the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And we give all glory and honor to the Most High. We thank Him for allowing us to see this day and to be here. For a lot of people are not here that, might have had an opportunity to come and learn this truth, and they're gone. You got to deal with the, as they say, the coronavirus, COVID-19. You got tornadoes tearing down people's houses. They can't be inside because they don't have a house to stay in anymore. So this is real. We're in the last days. If people don't want to accept it, then you got to be shown. It's all in the scriptures. Look at Matthew the 27th chapter, the 62nd verse. Most I don't mind either. You see what he's doing. Is he the one that allowed the earthquakes, the tornadoes, the storms, the hurricanes, everything? The fires. He's a consuming fire himself. So, Matthew 27 and 62. It says, now the next day after Passover, that followed the day of the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said, talking about Mashiach Yahushai, that's what they call him, a deceiver. Like you have some out there that don't believe in him now. They waited for it to come the first time. So they said then he was a liar. Deceiver means he's a liar. Saying, Sir, we remember that deceiver said, while he was yet alive, let you know he's gone now, he's dead. After 3 days, I will rise again. Right? But the main thing I'm looking at here is now the next day. It's not the Passover, it's the next day. He died on the Passover. They got him on the Passover. Everybody's in their house eating the Passover. That's why he had the Passover where? In the upper room. So all this happened during the time they're in the house. Everybody's in the house enjoying the Passover. Next day is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's why I say the next day. He's already dead. But they come into Pilate and letting him know, hey, he said he's going to rise in 3 days. Command therefore that the scepter be made sure until the third day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, he is risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said to them, you have a watch. You do it yourself. You go over there and watch it. Go your way. Make it as sure as you can. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch. So they sealed the stone that was on his, where they buried him at, in the tomb that they buried him in, and they had men watching. But my main thing here is to let you know, now the next day, that was the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Passover was on the 14th day of the first month of Bib, and the 15th day, the next day, as it's saying here, is Feast of Unleavened Bread. That evening. So, look at Mark 15 and 42. Mark 15, 32. It says, and now when the evening was come, because it was the preparation, that is, the day before the Sabbath, then the evening came. Now, this is the day before the Sabbath. He died on what we'll call the fourth day You count from the first day, second day, third day, fourth day. So this the evening of the fifth day was the day before the evening of the Sabbath, which would be the evening of the sixth day. You see, that is the day before the Sabbath. Joseph of Arimathea, an honorable counselor, which also waited for the kingdom of the Most High, came and went in boldly unto Pilate and engraved the body of Mashiach Yahushua. He asked for the body of Mashiach Yahushua. And Pilate marveled if he were already dead. And calling unto him the centurion, he asked him whether he had been any while dead. And when he knew it of the centurion, he gave the body to Joseph. And he bought fine linen and took him down and wrapped him in the linen and laid him in a sepulchre which was hewn out of rock, and rolled a stone unto the door of the sepulchre. That's why, you see they were, trying to make sure that they sealed that stone on that sepulchre so that he couldn't rise on the third day. And Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, beheld where he was laid. Right? So we hear because it said now when the evening was come. So that's the evening of the next day. Or evening of the first of Passover, which will be the next day. Start of the next day. You see. He wanted to put him, in the tomb that he had already bought. Because Joseph was a rich man, he had money. And he wanted to make sure that he was taken off the cross, because it was not lawful to have him remain on the cross. Look at Luke 23 and 54. Luke 23 and 54. It says, let's read up a little further. Verse 50. Luke 23 and 50. And behold, there was a man named Joseph, same story, same Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and a just, righteous man. The same had not consented to the counsel and deed of them. He was of Arimathea, a city of the Jews, who also himself waited for the kingdom of the Most High. This man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Mashiach Yahushua, and he took it down. He took it down and wrapped it in linen and laid it in a sepulchre that was hewn in stone, wherein never man before had laid. So no man had ever laid in this tomb. And that day was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on. And the women also which came with him from Galilee followed after, and beheld the sepulchre, and how his body was laid. And they returned, and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day, according to the commandment. So they laid him, to rest with spices and ointments in the tomb that Joseph had brought. It's beautiful. I'm just showing you that this was our custom. And they say like the Sabbath drew near. The Sabbath day is part of the law. Go to Exodus the 20th chapter, the 10th verse. When you look at the law, this is the 10 commandments in Exodus 20th chapter. So the first part of these scriptures is dealing with how we love the Most High, how we serve the Most High. The second part is how we serve each other, how we love the Most High with all our heart, mind, and soul and strength, and how we love our neighbor as ourselves. The law is based upon them two principles. How we love the Most High with all our heart, mind, and soul and strength, and how we love our neighbor as ourselves. The whole law, 613 laws are based upon those principles. Moral laws, civil laws, dietary laws, ceremonial laws, and sacrificial laws. They all based upon how we love the Most High and serve Him, and how we love each other and serve each other. So this is the Sabbath of the Most High. It's Exodus 20 and 10. It says, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High, thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work. So that's you can count from the first day on the calendar to the seventh day, because Most High said we're supposed to be allowing those idle that they call the days of the week after come out of our mouth. So that's why you see in the Bible it be first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day. Of that nature. You see? We don't deal with alerts. Somebody being abducted. But so it's very important that, we come back to our custom. I know it might be hard, but it's worth it. It's worth the effort to make sure that we do what's right in the eyes of the Most High. Because all the days of the week are named after gods. So Exodus 20 and 10 says, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High, thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that are within thy gates. So, if you want to know when the Sabbath day is, it's the day before they go to church every week. Before that day. For in 6 days the Most High made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day, wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So, we're supposed to keep the Sabbath day every 7 days. It's very important. Now, look at St. John, the 19th chapter. Go to St. John, the 19th chapter. And verse 13. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Mashiach forth and sat down in the judgment seat in the palace, in the place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gabbatha. Gabbatha. And it was the preparation of this Passover, in about the 6th hour, and he said unto the Jews, behold, your king. See, it was the preparation of the Passover. But they cried out, away with him. See. Crucify him. It's only a small, significant number of people. Wasn't all of Israel. Because see, people want to say, they want to use that in the church, say, oh, no, the Jews, they rejected the Mashiach Yahushua. They killed him. But look what it says in St. John 1 and 11 and 12. St. John 1:11. He came unto his own, and his own received him not, right? That's the ones that's saying crucify him. 2/3 of our people, that's the majority of our people, of the Israelites. They reject the Mashiach Yahushua. Until this day, they're not going to accept him. They're looking for him to come back the first time. He come back to judge and make war, going to be burning people up. You hear what it said? And this is what they use in the church. They say, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. But they don't keep reading. Because it says, but as many as received him, his own people, the Israelites, as many as received him, to them gave he power, that spiritual power, to become what? The sons of the Most High. Even to them that believe on in the name of the anointed Savior, by Shama Mashiach Yahushua. Believe on that. For the spiritual power that the Most High going to give them. What more power you going to get than from the Most High? So as many as believed on him, gave he spiritual power to become the sons of the Most High, even them that believe on Bahasham Mashiach Yahushua. So these are the ones that rejected him, that we read about here in St. John 19 and 15. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, we have no king but Caesar. Come on, that's a sellout move. If it's not a sellout, you tell me it's not. We have no king but Caesar. We have no king but the so-called white man that's the oppressor over us. You gotta understand this. That's why they said this. Look, go to John. It's a bunch of sambos. St. John, the 11th chapter, verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees of council and said, what do we? What we gonna do? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. This is the problem. Like a lot of people now, they don't want no one to be able to believe on the unadulterated truth. They say, well, if we leave him alone, everybody gonna believe him. So they'll make up lies on you. Or they'll say that they the only ones have the truth like the apostles was. We found somebody that was casting out demons in our name, but we forbade them. You can't do that because you ain't rolling with us. And the Mashiach Shai said, leave them alone. If they ain't against us, they fall apart. That's what brothers got to understand in this day and time. Straight up, it says, but here we go. It said, we leave us alone. All men, let's read it again. Then gathered the chief priests, verse 47, and the Pharisees of council and said, what do we? What we going to do for this man doing many miracles? See, them are miracles that be put in all the books in the world. They couldn't contain the miracles that he done. He done so many miracles. It tells us. And just in case you don't know, you gonna know, because look at last verses of St. John. Go to John 21, and we can look at verse 25. And there are also many other things which Mashiach did, the which, if they should be written, every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. Hear that? So now, going back to St. John 11, we're looking at why, they say they have no king but Caesar. Playing up to the oppressor. Look, St. John 11, 47 again. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees, same ones talking about crucify him, a council, and said, what do we? What we going to do for this man doing many miracles? And we just seen how many wonders and miracles he done. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. So we leave him alone, they're going to start believing on him. And the Romans, here we go. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. That's deep. So the Romans going to come and take away both their place and nation. So that's why you hear them saying in St. John 19 and 15, bunch of sambos working with the system, working with the enemy. And Mashiach Shai call them violent. Listen to what he called them. A lot of you don't know this. Y'all think Mashiach Shai was all about love? No, you better understand. He was a warrior. Like he said, like my father, say I and my father are one. Like father, like son. Look what he said. What he called them. The Romans, what he called them. Matthew 11 and 12. Matthew 11th chapter, the 12th verse. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the time that he's speaking, the kingdom of heaven, which we the kingdom of heaven, the children of Israel, 12 tribes of Israel, suffereth violence. and the violent take it by force. So we call them the violent. Who? The Romans. The violent take it by force. And they took us down to 70 AD completely. The violent take it by force, he said. But we were under oppression, the oppressor, the Romans, at the time that he walked the earth. A lot of people don't even consider who was in power the time that he walked the earth. Even consider that. That takes ability to be able to realize, like we have a certain superpower that's on the earth today. That's America. Look at Luke 21:20. He said, and when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. What armies you think it's talking about? The Roman armies. If we compass with armies in America, what armies you think it's going to be? American armies. He was in the Roman Empire. So he said, when you shall see the Jerusalem compassed with armies, the Roman armies, didn't know that the desolation thereof is not. Don't you know that the desolation of our kingdom is near? Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. That's when we fled into Africa. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. It says, depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein. For these be the days of vengeance. Remember we say the violent take it by force. All you got to do is look at who was the superpower of the earth at that time. Matter of fact, you ain't even got to go that far. You just look at who killed them. The Romans. They killed them. They put them to death. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. This is what they did. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And we nearing that time now, y'all. So that's one scenario. So now he called them what? The violent. He just let us know that these armies gonna come past us, and they're gonna make us desolate, and they're gonna lead us into captivity. So let's go to Luke 19 and verse 43. For the days shall come upon thee. Just before he warned us about the armies gonna come past us, the Roman armies at that, he said, for the days shall come upon thee that thine enemies. Now he's calling them the enemies. He called them what? The violent. He said they're going to make us desolate. And now he's calling them thine enemies. Not your friends, for the days shall come upon thee that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee and compass thee round, just like he said, when you see the city compassed with armies, compass thee about. So they dug a trench around us, but he calling them enemies here. And keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground. You know they call it flat line. And thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. That's why he warned us. He warned us of this. So this is what we're looking at. See, Israel don't want to consider, because we looking for everybody to be like we are. Very meek. They're not meek. Everybody don't care about us. Nobody care about us. Did Michael Jackson have a song? They don't really care about us. Yeah. Look at when you look at Matthew the 13th chapter, he's spoken in a lot of parables, which are riddles, you know, and when you look at Matthew 13 and 24, it says, another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. Had sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Right? So these are the enemy laying with our women. So let's see what he called them. Go to verse 37. He answered and said unto them, he that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. Right? The field is the world. We all over the world, Israel. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. That's the Israelites. 12 tribes of Israel. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. Okay? Now we know Job 9:24 says, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? So it says, the tares are the children of the wicked one. You see? So let you know. They came in while we slept. And just like it was in slavery, they took our women and they had children by our women. So it says, who is this enemy? Verse 39. This is from h.o.d.c's words. He said, the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. Those children that were born from the enemy, that came from the enemy seed, that's what he says is going to be like this in the end of the world. Verse 41, the Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who have ears to hear, let them hear. So everybody have ears to hear. So you see, you call them different things, man. You identified them as such while he was in the flesh. Now, going back to St. John 19 and 15. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. 2/3 of our people not good for nothing. Then, now, and forever. That's why the Most High going to get rid of them. He's going to burn them up. They're going to die by the sword, it says. But they cried out, away with him. Talk about him, away with him. He didn't do nothing. They was always trying to get him. Crucify him. Pilate said unto them, shall I crucify your king? The chief priests answered, wicked Israelites, leaders, we have no king but Caesar. See? It was all into the Roman Empire. Afraid they're going to lose their power with the Romans, with Caesar and the Romans. And the people going to follow a Mashiach Yahushua. Then delivered he him, therefore, unto them to be crucified. And they took Mashiach Yahushua and led him away. Okay. Look at St. John 18 and verse 28. It says, this is after Peter denied him. He told him, it's cock gonna crow. Once you deny him 3 times, he did. Head apostle. So a lot of people, they say, they not going to do this, not going to do this. Shoot. Peter denied him. He told him, you're going to deny me 3 times. Last time he started cursing, they said, oh, no, that ain't him. Can't be one of them. Peter did. St. John 18:28. Then let they Mashiach shine from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment. And it was early, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled. Hear that? But that they might eat the Passover. See? It was that day of the Passover, that night. Remember the night of the Passover? It was there. So they're gonna eat the Passover after they finished dealing with him. Pilate then went out unto them and said, What accusation bring ye against this man? They answered and said unto him, If he were not a malefactor, we would not have delivered him up unto thee. Then said Pilate unto them, Take ye him, and judge him according to your law. Say, take him and judge him according to your law. The Jews therefore said unto him, It is not lawful for us to put any man to death. So it's not lawful for them to put any man to death. But it's okay with the Romans. You can do it. This your makeup. You can do it. That the saying of Mashiach might be fulfilled, which he spake, signifying what death he should die. Then Pilate entered into the judgment hall again, and called Mashiach and said unto him, Art thou the king of the Jews? Mashiach answered him, Sayest thou this thing of thyself, or did others tell it thee of me? Say, this coming from you, or did somebody else tell you this? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Mashiach answered, My kingdom is not of this world. You hear that? So all you want to believe in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Hear what he said? My kingdom is not of this world. What world was he in? The Roman world. What world does that talk about? Isaiah 45:17. Israel is a world without end. My kingdom is not of this world, he said. If my kingdom were of this world, if his kingdom was of this world, then would my servants fight. You hear that? Then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. My kingdom is not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Mashiach answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth, bear witness of the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, which is the truth. Psalms 119, 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Everyone that is of the truth, the laws of the Most High, heareth my voice. Pilate said unto him, What is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again unto the Jews, and said unto them, I find in him no fault at all. But ye have a custom that I should release you unto you one at the Passover. Will ye therefore that I release unto you the king of the Jews? That is the Passover. They got him on the Passover, it's still the Passover. Then cried they all again, saying, Not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber and a murderer. You see, not this man, but Barabbas. They wanted Barabbas instead of Mashiach releasing him. But you see, we still deal with the Passover, because they got him the Passover night. They deliver him to Pilate. Then they're gonna go back and eat the Passover. Look at Matthew 26. Matthew 26. And 5. Matthew 26. 26th chapter. And let's start at verse 2. Matthew 26 and 2. You know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Mashiach by subtlety and kill him. So what their plan was, to kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. The feast day is talking about the Feast of Unleavened Bread. See? Because remember, they got him. They got him on the Passover. They was eating the Passover when they came and got him. Remember when he left? They sang a song and they went out and they got him on the Passover. That they had finished eating the Passover, then they came and got him. So this is all during that night until that day. Everything is taking place. They will make sure they have it done before everybody come together the next day on the 15th of the first month of Bib for that feast day when everybody come together. Everybody in their house, everybody in their house having the Passover. Like it tells you, you have your lamb or your goat or your household, and everybody's, in their home. All this is happening while everybody's in the home. So they trying to do it before everybody come out and be getting together for the Feast of Unleavened Bread the next day. So look at Mark, the 14th chapter, in the second verse, Mark 14:2. Well, let's read. It say, after 2 days was the feast of the Passover and of unleavened bread. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft and put him to death. So now you look at the Passover. The next day is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar of the people. You see? Not on the feast day, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's when everybody come together for the feast. Everybody else is in their private homes for the Passover, eating the Passover. Not on the feast day. What feast day is that? The Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the next day. St. John 13. Some say the Passover, and they include the Feast of Unleavened Bread together with that. It's not what's written. That's not what we did. We had the Passover, and then we came together the next day for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But some do the Passover, and they include the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Passover / Feast of Unleavened Bread. That's not right. St. John 13 and look at this is when this is when he's having the Passover, eating the Passover with the apostles. Let's look at St. John 13:1. I haven't went over this in a while. Now before the feast of the Passover, when the Mashiach knew that his hour was come on the Passover, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. His own was the children of Israel. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart or the mind of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Okay? So, let's look at they want to know, who is it that's going to betray him? The apostles didn't know. So, look at John 13, St. John 13:26. Mashiach was saying, answer, he it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. So now, that's what we had. that bitter melon, it was like a liquid. You take the unleavened bread and you dip it in the sop, which is the bitter melon. That's what he said. And my said, answered, he it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Amashah unto him, that thou doest, do quickly. He said, that you're going to do quickly. Now no man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. Now Amashah, this is the Passover. He have the Passover with the 12. You don't think he could have the Passover in the temple? No. Listen. No man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. They ain't know that he's telling them, hey, go and do what you got to do. Go get them so you could betray me. You traitor. Listen, verse 29. For some of them thought, this is what they thought. Now, they already have the Passover. They already ate the Passover. You know, for some of them thought, because Judas had the bag that Amashah had said unto him, buy those things that we have need of against the feast, for the feast. Or that he should give something to the poor. So they already eating the feast. They already at the feast. They already having the Passover. They all together having the Passover. Amashah, he's just missing Judas to go do what he planned on doing. Sold him out for 30 pieces of silver. But what did they think? That's why I'm here to let you know. Verse 29, for some of them thought, because Judas had the bag that Amashah had said unto him, buy those things that we have need of against the feast. They already eaten. It was not the Passover. It's for the next day for the feast. That's what they thought. But he was telling them, hey, go do what you're going to do. Go get the wicked Pharisees and scribes and chief high priests to betray me to the Romans. So let's look at 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. And we're going to read verse 7 and 8. Purge out therefore the old leaven. We got to purge out. That's why we had a whole week to purge out all the wickedness and the evil that's within us. Purge out the old leaven. Because see, leaven makes the bread rise. So we don't want nothing to rise in us that will be detrimental to us being put in Mashiach, the Most High's grace and mercy, that our names will be written in the book of life. That's what it's all about. No more, no less. Or in other words, you're going to be cast to the lake of fire. So he gave us 7 days to get all this out of you. Do a self-examination. Tear yourself apart and build yourself back up. And be a new person. A new creature. Be born again in the spirit. A better person. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, a new man, a new woman, as ye are unleavened.